season has just dropped my jaw already. We started taking place on Tatooine. We met this guy, Timothy Olyphant, plays a character named Cobb Vanth. I think he's just like a temporary, like he was just in it for the episode, but I hope he comes back. But the end of the episode, oh my god. One of the biggest reveals in Star Wars. I know we said that last year about Baby Yoda, but I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna tell it. Boba Fett is alive. Boba Fett is alive. Oh my god, this is one of the biggest reveals in all of Star Wars. So if you're not watching this show, now is the time to do so. That is my pick. I am so excited. If you want to hear more about me talking about Star Wars, by the way, because I'm going to do a shameless plug, I'm doing recaps on ET's YouTube channel. You should definitely check it out because I lose my mind on it.
Ash, I love that you have Baby Yoda with you right now. I love the fact that the Mandalorian knows that they are so good at keeping secrets. But because you are such a great interviewer, when you caught up with them before season 1 had even premiered, you had asked Dave Filoni if Boba Fett could be in it, and we all should have known way back then.
Is that Boba Fett or what's going on?
Interesting, yeah, interesting.
Do you think there's a possibility he survived the Sarlacc pit?
Interesting. I mean, there's always possibilities. I don't like to limit our storytelling in any way, and, you know, who knows?
So it was like kind of a conversation that was happening like on Twitter. I was like, let me just see what he has to say.
Yoda.
I don't think he was ready for it.
Oh my gosh.
But it worked out so well, and now we get to try and figure out what on earth is going on in season 2. Is it really Boba Fett? Is it a clone? Are you surprised that I know my stuff?
I'm so proud of you. So yes, I will say this really quick, give you guys a rundown. Tamara Morrison is the guy who played Jango Fett in the prequel series, and his DNA was used for the clones. So all the clones, including Boba Fett, have this man's face. So it's possible that this man is somebody else. It's a different clone, but highly unlikely. He looks super beat up, like he was in the Sarlacc pit for a few minutes, and he's looking at his armor leaving on a speeder bike. So I just feel like the likelihood that he's just randomly someone else is almost none. It's definitely Boba Fett, but how crazy is that?
I'm just excited that we're going to get to have these weekly conversations because, as you guys know, Ash and I are big fans of watching things week by week. It makes it really fun. But if you are looking for something to binge, might I suggest this? If you like Mad Men, and you love that era, that 60s era, and you love The Marvelous Miss Maisel, you love seeing women kick butt and step into what's typically a man's world, you need to watch The Queen's Gambit streaming now on Netflix. Oh my goodness gracious, Ash, I had no idea what to expect before I pressed play on this series, and I cannot get enough. So this stars Anya Taylor-Joy. You may know her as Emma. She was on Peaky Blinders. She was in Split. But it is actually a fictional story that follows the life of an orphan chess prodigy named Beth Harmon, and we see her from the age from 8 to 22 as she tries to become a grandmaster at chess, all the while she's dealing with an addiction to alcohol and to drugs. It is a beautiful limited series. We get to see it take place in this era. The clothes are amazing. She's brilliant.
Men are going to come along and want to teach you things. Doesn't make them any smarter. You just let them blow by, and you go on ahead and do just what and how you feel like.
So, I gotta say, I don't want to diss the marketing or anything, but it looked boring. Like, it didn't look like something that I was gonna watch. And I saw it on my queue, and I was like, no, I don't want to watch a chess show. And then I think like a week went by, and everyone was suddenly talking about it, and it's starting to spread by word of mouth. So now I'm intrigued by checking it out. But yeah, there was nothing beforehand where I was like, oh, I'm definitely gonna check out the show.
Exactly. I feel like, you know, when you have this, like, granted, like, Anya Taylor-Joy is gorgeous, but when you have her just, like, somberly sitting over a chess board, like, yes, you're not going to be like, that's my next show. But the cool thing about it is that one of our ET Online coworkers, Meredith B. Kyle, actually gave me the perfect synopsis for the show, so I need to repeat it. This is like if Don Draper and Betty Draper from Mad Men were fused into one character. That is who she is playing. So she is manipulative, brilliant, likes alcohol.
You keep it down, trying to drink.
So Queen's Gambit, it's a limited series, really fun. Definitely want to check that one out.
It is a movie
like primarily about high school. I mean, it's really about a guy going through a midlife crisis who happens to be a high school teacher. So it's more of like gives you those thoughts about what do high school teachers do in their real life. Like you don't imagine them like going home and having problems, but this is sort of what Matthew's character goes through, and it's really interesting.
It is election week. So we, of course, thought that we should travel back in time to 1999 for Election, the movie that stars Reese Witherspoon and Matthew Broderick. Oh my goodness gracious. What did you think of this movie?
You know what? I had never seen it, so this was my first time watching it. I had never even heard of it, to be honest. I was like, when you showed this to me, I was like, what is this movie? And I watched it, and I was so caught off guard, because I was like, oh, it's like this wholesome election movie with Reese Witherspoon and Matthew Broderick. And it's not that wholesome. It's like a dark comedy, and things go off the rails very quickly.
We've seen Reese Witherspoon play so many type A characters throughout the course of her career, so this is like the ultimate type A, Tracy Flick.
Looks like you could use a cupcake.
She's going up against Chris Klein from American Pie.
This movie, like I mentioned, I hadn't seen it or really heard of it, and I think the reason being it was a box office bomb. It grossed only $17.2 million against its budget of $8.5 to $25 million, but it ended up receiving critical acclaim. So it actually got an Oscar nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay and a Golden Globe nomination for Reese Witherspoon for Best Actress.
But it was almost a very, very different movie. So Alexander Payne actually told the Huffington Post that when it comes to who was almost cast for this movie, there were a lot of roles that Paramount was pushing for Mr. McAllister, and they said, why don't you either get Tom Hanks or Tom Cruise? And the director was like, nope, I want Matthew Broderick. I want Ferris Bueller himself.
Ferris Bueller.
When it comes to Tracy Flick, though, it was always Reese Witherspoon's role. She came in guns a-blazing, blew everyone away in the audition process, and they were like, yes, this is on you. Because she actually looked at the director as soon as she was done with the audition and said, I don't know who you're thinking for this part, but it's me.
That's very Tracy Flick.
The character of Tammy, who's Chris Klein's little sister in the movie, it was actually originally Thora Birch from Hocus Pocus and Now and Then. She was cast in the role, and then they had a bit of a conflict on set after just 3 days of filming, so she was ousted, and then they brought in someone else.
And actually, Reese Witherspoon was interested in this role as well. She told the LA Times that Tammy's epic speech, "Who cares about the stupid election," made her want to play that role.
Who cares about this stupid election?
At the time, there was no such thing as like an R-rated teen film. They were all PG-13. They all had Freddie Prinze Jr. And it wasn't until like a couple months later when American Pie came out that really got the ball rolling on having these like really inappropriate R-rated movies. But so Election was the first. Let's be clear about that.
Speaking of American Pie and Chris Klein, he had never acted before this film and had actually turned down the